An underwater squirrel in a spacesuit is weird enough, but you know what's even more nuts? Like all the messed up, heinous crimes Sandy Cheeks has committed. Forget Dirty Dan and Pinhead Larry. This sicko rodent is guilty of an insane number of bonus acts that'll have her saying, "Well, how they to the Bikini Bottom jail, her new home for a very long time." SpongeBob and Patrick clearly take the cake as the most annoying neighbors ever. You're the worst neighbors! You don't deserve to wear those sizes! But they aren't the only loud, unruly residents of Bikini Bottom. There was that time that Sandy got homesick and forced the whole city to listen to her sing about Texas. I miss my 20 acres for pies. Oh, why I'm so far from you, Texas. All I can buy. While the sad song moved everyone to tears, it doesn't make what she did any less of a crime. Loudly blaring her song throughout the entire city could get Sandy charged with disorderly conduct, and a guilty verdict would mean 1 year in the slammer and a $1,000 fine. And maybe she can spend that time working on her debut album like Jelly Roll. Hell, I'd buy it. She got a great voice, unlike some people. When my dear docs give issue, I can't use just any tissue. I need four-ply when I cry. Sandy loves karate, SpongeBob loves karate, and Mr. Krabs loves money. Not karate. SpongeBob was returned home from another great day, the best job in the universe, but is feeling a little tense as he's in a karate war with Sandy, and the squirrel could be hiding anywhere in his house right now, ready to take him by surprise. I love this show! Meet Phil! Yeah. SpongeBob grabs his karate gear and tries out some new moves, like the spin technique and the double overhand squirrel knot. Hand squirrel knot. I'll get you tomorrow, SpongeBob. The Krusty Krab, SpongeBob is so paranoid about another ambush from Sandy that he accidentally karate chops Squidward's face into a butt and attacks an innocent customer after they try to swat a fly. SpongeBob, you would work. I was going to send hurt. So, babe, thought you could buy me at work, did ya? Cause I can do that. I just know Crab isn't gonna let those patties go to waste. Some poor fish is gonna be eating their order with a side of squid dandruff. After learning the crazy sponge has been practicing karate and wasn't on some kind of new allergy medication, Mr. Krabs tells him to quit it forever or be fired. While SpongeBob loves karate, fry cooking is his life's passion, so I can already sense the overly dramatic reaction he'll have when Sandy gets him the boot yard. Huh? Bye. Wait, it's not his fault. Tell me quick. Mr. Krabs gives the cried out yellow square one more chance to lay off the karate, which shouldn't be too difficult, maybe. After all, there's loads of other fun stuff to do, like pretending to be plants or having a picnic at the park. SpongeBob starts making the sandwiches for the picnic, but slicing that barnacle loaf feels an awful lot like doing the K word. Karate's too fun for them to resist, and it doesn't take long before hundreds of sandwiches are raining from the sky. There are two. Or man, yes, and be hungry. Right. Time for I want some traders. And what else should we slide? A major karate battle, of course, follows, and the entire park is now not only covered in sandwiches, it's been totally destroyed. SpongeBob relaxes amongst the colossal mess, wondering whether Mr. Krabs ever does karate. Well, he'll be able to answer that one for you, square pants. Krabs! Mr. Krabs, how's Thursday, huh? SpongeBob is just ready for Mr. Krabs to fire him, but seeing all those sandwiches scattered around the park has given the cheap crustacean an even better idea. Dumping probably hundreds of sandwiches in the park is criminal littering, warranting a $1,000 fine and 24 hours of community service. But destroying the whole frackin' park? Yeah, that means 3 years in the clink and a $50,000 fine, which will rebuild the park very nicely. Oh, and Sandy also broke into SpongeBob's pineapple at the start of the episode, so that's an extra 3 years plus a $100,000 fine. That could buy Sponge Boy a second fruit to live in. When Bikini Bottom was under threat from the terrifying Alaskan bullworm, Sandy didn't hesitate to volunteer to kill the varmint, but seriously regretted her decision when she realized how puny she was compared to the monster. This is the tongue and the whole thing is the worm. Run for your life! I'm sure the giant worm felt zero pain from an ant-sized squirrel, so Sandy can't get charged with animal cruelty for that incident. However, she has unleashed her wrath on smaller, weaker animals in the show. In her very first appearance in Tea at the Tree Dome, we saw her viciously attack this clam. Take that, you sorry old clam! You need to learn some manners! You're bad, it's ugly as homemade soup. A couple of episodes later, she sets sail on Patrick's Valentine's Day chocolate air balloon and punks the lights out of a flock of innocent scallops who just wanted to try some of the chocolate. I got my own set of this here. By the way, of course. Scallops are reaching the balloon. They're everywhere. I think we all wanted to eat that chocolate air balloon when we were kids. Sandy would have broken all of our noses. Lastly, if we jump ahead to season 2, episode 12, we see Sandy beat up a bunch of seagulls, aka rats with wings, but to be fair, they were trying to eat her friends. Holy guacamole! You can't eat my friends, you rats with wings! Squidward looked even uglier than he does underwater, but doesn't Landy look so darn cute? Oh, an orange jumpsuit definitely will look so adorable. Animal cruelty carries a 5-year penalty, so 3 counts will get Sandy thrown in jail for 15 years and fined $60,000. And let's just hope the bars in our cell window are thick. We can't have any more scallops accidentally flying into the psycho's pants. Bit of lighthearted banter is cool, but you'd be pretty darn pissed if your friend made a literal career out of mocking you. If you didn't already get the memo, SpongeBob SquarePants is the worst stand-up comedian under the sea. Hey, funny guy. I do what smells rotten and puts people, not just gas. Right next to Squidward tentacles. SpongeBob tries to save his lame act with a fork joke, and when that fails, he looks around desperately for a witty observation. The weirdest looking creature in the room is always a good target. Did you how big squirrels' teeth are? Huh? I mean, hey, clean on those things. As if making fun of Sandy's huge teeth wasn't mean enough, SpongeBob then rips into her for having fleas, smelling bad, and being too much of a fricker to change a light bulb, even though she's an actual scientist. The crowd is in love with the squirrel jokes, and SpongeBob is now the headliner and cleaner for the next show. This is great news for her stand-up comedy career, but Sandy is hurt by all the jokes, rightfully so. No. Looking. I mean, every but Adam. Well, I can't argue with health. I do it all the time. Sandra agrees that she was being a little too sensitive and tries to lighten up, but the whole of Bikini Bottom is taking the squirrel jokes literally, and now she can't even go shopping without getting harassed by bullies. It's the stupidest. She tries to brush it off, but when mothers start fearing their kids will catch her stupid, and even Patrick starts to believe he's smarter than her, oh yeah, she tells SpongeBob to cut the mean squirrel jokes off and try some of those other hilarious ones that he's got under his square belt. His other jokes flop and the angry crowd starts demanding squirrel jokes back. Now SpongeBob has 2 choices to make: his friend or his career. And I just know someone as loyal and kind as he is would never take small screw because they're so darn. I should have known that was coming. This is the same jerk who tried to steal his best friend's secret box. Backstage, SpongeBob finds a letter from Sandy inviting him to celebrate the genius of his comedy, and when he arrives at the Tree Dome the next day, she's her old, naturally squirrely self. On your rally, squirrely sail. After inviting SpongeBob in, Sandy glues him to the seat so he won't fall off, or escape, and takes off his helmet to use as a flower vase. The air exposure instantly starts killing SpongeBob, but a stupid squirrel like Sandy just can't remember what that thing is, and that it's necessary for sea creatures to live here. Oh, mommy, okay. What? SpongeBob gets his water before passing away, but the stupid squirrel won't turn off the hose. He's now triple his size and begging for mercy, but the dumb squirrel thinks he wants more water. Want more? Okay, for the sea creature. Oh, okay. No more squirrel jokes. Sandy's punishment was enough to scare SpongeBob off the squirrel jokes and get herself a long stay at the Bikini Bottom jail. What happens to SpongeBob seems silly because it's crafted SpongeBob, but exposing a sea creature to air is basically a reverse drowning, and it's painful and scary, I would imagine. Plus, expanding to like 1,000 times his normal size couldn't have been healthy. Sandy's actions would definitely be considered torture, and you offended me with your squirrel jokes wouldn't be a very good defense. But, I mean, he got the whole whole town against her, that might hold up in court. I don't know. She's still heading to jail for the next 20 years and fined $10,000. Being dumb isn't a good defense, even if it was to prove a point. I just wish we got to see Squidward have a go at stand-up as the crabs on a trip off the price of Rotten Tomatoes. Living next door to SpongeBob is already a fate worse than death for Squidward, and Sandy once did something that probably made him consider ending it all. Squidward's dreams have finally come true. He's the most famous musician in the world and has hair. The alarm clock snatches him back to reality, and now it's time for another hideous day at the Krusty Krab. But Squiddy's feeling a little less depressed than usual, as tomorrow is his big clarinet recital, and the people are gonna love him. While Squidward plays his clarinet badly on the way to work, SpongeBob is checking out Sandy's newest invention, the matter transporter. It can move things from one blink of an eye. Oh, fancy. SpongeBob glances at his watch and realizes he's running late for work. I thought he always came in at 3 a.m. to count the sesame seeds. He asks Sandy if she can zap him over to the Krusty Krab, and she's always wanting to experiment with a critter. What could go wrong? Hold on tight. Going. Oh, poor Squidward can fully understand what just happened and immediately complain about it. Sandy's transformer remote control malfunctions and transports SpongeBob and Squidward back to the matter transporter together. Uh-oh. Tarnations. Squidward is more horrified than the time and he thought he saw the slunken slasher, but SpongeBob isn't even fazed, being conjoined to his best buddy forever is a dream come true for him. Sandy tries to separate the pair by putting them back in the transporter, but only ends up giving an innocent kid PTSD on his birthday. Making a woman seriously regret not using protection. May I see my baby? Of course. And discovering extraterrestrial life. Hey baby, what's your name? What? They finally emerge from the transporter, still the same as before, and Sandy calms Squid's mental breakdown by promising to finish a new invention that'll separate them. Squid Bob Tentacle Pants then rides away to work, and when they arrive, Mr. Krabs, being his usual self, doesn't even care what happened to them as long as it doesn't cost them money. Well, it probably will, old man, because how the hell can Squidward man the cash register and SpongeBob work the kitchen at the same time? That's it, no, but... And no! Mr. Krabs kicks Squid Bob out for ruining the restaurant and walk on home. Who's working there if you don't have Squidward nor SpongeBob? Frick, are you gonna do it yourself? Anyway, they find Sandy building her molecular separator array. Squidward thinks the nightmare is finally over, but the device won't be ready until the day after tomorrow. Oh, maybe what? Day after tomorrow? No, tomorrow. I can't be stuck to that freak. Sandy promises to have the array ready before Squidward goes on stage, but fast forward to tomorrow night and a whole audience of people are waiting and Sandy is nowhere to be seen. Squidbob takes the stage anyway, disguising their disgusting appearance under a cape, but people finding out that he's conjoined to SpongeBob to be the least of Squidward's worries when he sounds like this. I'm surprised as many people showed up at the concert anyway. They must have never walked down Conch Street in their lives. Squidward's cape gets caught on a nail, exposing the freak he is to the audience. The crowd is stunned, and one guy almost vomits. Okay, that's a little excessive. It takes a little while for everyone to move past their initial disgust, but when they do, they're cheering on for the freaky bro. Squidward tears up, but we're finally becoming a superstar, but now Sandy's here to turn him ordinary again. They lost me. Squidward tries to win the crowd and die with a little encore, but the music is so bad an old man fears to die from a heart attack, and another dude's skin rips away from his body. Skin theory? Everyone walks out to avoid permanent life-changing injuries, and in an act of desperation, fame-hungry Squiddy grabs the separator ray and tries to turn himself back into a freak. It works, but now he can't even walk, let alone play the clarinet. Problem, Mr. Tentacle Leader. When I was... Sandy's matter transporter was a disaster. It should have been burned to the ground. So I would think probably like a 60 days added to her sentence is pretty fair for negligence. Squidward was the one who caused that hideous accident at the end of the episode, so I can't blame her for that. However, she can't be charged with creating Squid Bob Tentacle Pants in the first place. This would fall under the crime of mayhem, carries a 20-year sentence. Still, 2 decades in the big house is a better fate than living life as whatever the frick that thing was. Forget Squidward's house destroying Bikini Bottom. Sandy was able to do it with her bare hands when searching for SpongeBob in pre-hibernation week. I can explain. Those houses aren't the only thing she's destroyed either. She's also obliterated the Krusty Krab. You've been messing with the phone. Now here comes the one. What's happening? No! Hurry, y'all! Yet I think most iconically, the chocolate air balloon she delivered to Patrick on Valentine's Day. We've already covered that one. Oh, SpongeBob, you didn't have to give me anything. She destroyed around 15 houses, so that's 51 years in jail and $850,000 in fines if we count those two other crimes. At least the chocolate one was easy to clean up. We're halfway through and Sandy's heinous crimes have just gotten this squirrel already earning herself some serious jail time. That's 113 years and 60 days. Accompany that with the huge $222,000 fine. They can only get more insane from here, so stick around. Sandy is nuts. She's basically a living testament to the phrase, you are what you eat. And her most amended episode ever was definitely Survival of the Idiots, where she literally tried to murder SpongeBob and Patrick. Sandy is hibernating for the winter, even though squirrels don't do that in real life. Stephen Hillenburg is a marine biologist after all, so she's left with pretty clear instructions outside the tree dome directed at one person in particular. During hibernation, animals don't like to be woken up, so do not disturb. That means you, SpongeBob. Committed to getting into the Guinness Book of World Records for the most annoying people ever, SpongeBob and Patrick venture into the tree dome anyway and have a blast playing in the snow. But do you know what doesn't seem so fun? Waking up an angry giant squirrel. SpongeBob is caving on us. Sandy, no, stop. I warned you, Dirty Dan. Now you just crossed the border in there. Well, Sandy, it's us, your friends, SpongeBob and Patrick. Please, Sandy, I can't afford dry cleaning. Sheriff Sandy falls back asleep as SpongeBob and Patrick continue pestering her, thinking that she won't wake up because Patrick's belly lint earmuffs. Then they head outside to play a game of Texas Outlaws. All right, Pinhead, your time is up. Who are you calling Pinhead? They start fighting over who gets to be Dirty Dan, pretending that a rabid squirrel could wake up and unleash hell on them any minute now. Ah! Screaming will get you no. Which one of you fellers is the real Dirty Dan? I am? What means? Now it's time for Pinhead Larry to suffer Sheriff Sandy's wrath, but he's a lot faster than that overweight Dirty Dan. After outrunning Sandy on the hamster wheel, SpongeBob lands in a ditch with nowhere to run or hide from the bloodthirsty squirrel, but he does have one weapon. Please use it wisely, Pinhead Larry. Did you win? Nobody but SpongeBob could fail that epically. The two idiots narrowly escape death, and when they climb out of their graves, the first thing they do is to try and get the hell out. But the door is frozen shut and won't fog till spring. Barnacles. The tree dome gets colder and colder. While Sandy is warm and toasty in bed, Dirty Dan and Pinhead Larry are only a plankton-sized step away from freezing to death. SpongeBob wonders how she could possibly survive in these treacherous conditions every year, and no, Patrick, she doesn't just ignore it. After realizing it's her fur that keeps her out of the deadly cold, the boys whisk their lives again, giving Jenny a full body wax with some duct tape. Amazingly, she doesn't wake up from that, and now adorned with their luxurious free-of-charge fur coats, the boys are ready for the coldest, harshest winter ever. Breathe in on. Spring? Hearing Sandy wake up, sends SpongeBob and Patrick into a panic, and they race to the door, but the lock still hasn't thawed yet. They desperately try to melt it with their breath, but it's too late. Sandy has caught them and is livid, but she knows a way to replace the fur on her body. Thanks, Sandy. Spring sure is lovely. I wonder if they ever bring up the fact that she literally tried to kill them. Now, SpongeBob and Patrick are not guiltless here, but we're talking about Sandy in this video. So attempted murder carries a max sentence of 32 years. That is 64 years for Sandy's failed double homicide, plus a $2 million fine. SpongeBob and Patrick go together like Krabby Patties and kelp fries, but by Neptune does Pat suck at being a friend sometimes, and you'd really think getting a black eye, nobody goes right to me, be it covered in spitballs. Bob, over it. I'm trying to tell you something important. What? I'm tired. and getting called ugly to his face.
Well, maybe it's just because you're ugly.
Ugly would have been enough for SpongeBob to realize this friendship is toxic. But cutting that friendship short would mean hanging out with Sandy more. And she's an even worse pal. I mean, there was literally an entire episode dedicated to the sociopath forcing her so-called friend to participate in fun activities like clam boarding, except SpongeBob didn't even have a board.
Lights as extreme as you wanna face it.
Maybe we didn't sing it right. Yeah. Some early morning swimming lessons. Extreme jacks.
Isn't this great?
Yeah, a highly fatal ear cleaner battle. A peaceful ride to the industrial park.
I hope we're not yet. I'll have fun too.
Wake up, Slowpoke, and find the hay in the needle stack. Ouch. Jeez, what is wrong with a nice simple game of eels and escalators? Well, SpongeBob always bounces back from his injuries. It doesn't make Sandy's sick activities any less reckless. The daredevil rode in with be sentenced to 42 years in prison and slapped with a $30,000 fine for 6 counts of reckless endangerment. Breaking rock certainly isn't going to be as fulfilling as our usual dangerous stuff. Oh yeah, and she also almost burned a hiker alive on Sand Mountain. We're gonna talk about that one. That's another 48 years and $765,000 in fines for arson, assault, and reckless endangerment. Sandy might not be able to breathe underwater, but there's one thing she's better at than most sea critters, being absolutely frackin' ripped. Those barbecue and pecan pies must have the same effect as steroids because she could quite literally crush anyone Bikini Bottom with minimal effort. Like, dude, holy shrimp, she even beat Larry the Lobster in an anchor throwing contest despite being half his size. And while I'm sure she's well aware of how tough she is, she did get into the salty spoon after all. How tough am I? Wow. She does sometimes forget about her squirrely strength though, and SpongeBob ends up like this.
I've got better, guys.
The sponginess absorbs all the pain, and that's a trait I know Patrick is very jealous of. Myself included, really. Whoever's the owner of the white sedan, you left your lights on. It's clear Sandy's got some pretty severe anger issues, but maybe she can get into anger management. She starts a 192-year sentence for 6 counts of assault. She's probably going to be too worried about paying that $4.5 million fine as well. I know I would be. Every adult has had to do a job they hate at least once in their lives, but whatever you had to do couldn't have been as horrible as being on the search team Sandy rounded up when SpongeBob went missing. The people searched for the most annoying sponge in Bikini Bottom for days on end, even in the most dangerous of places. He's not in the poison sea urchin cove. Well, look again. He's not at the leech farm. Well, look again. He's not in my thoughts. Well, think again. I love you too, Squidward. SpongeBob was eventually found hiding under Patrick's rock, so at least the objective was met in the end. Doesn't make not getting paid any less serious, though. The penalty for unpaid labor is 1 year in jail and $20,000 per person. Everybody in town was involved in the manhunt, so excluding SpongeBob, Patrick, and Sandy yourself from the charges, that's 535 years in jail and a bank-breaking 10.7 mil. Good luck paying that off with bubble money. Sandy's usually a sensible, responsible scientist, but her experiments are guaranteed to end in disaster when a certain talking cheese gets involved. SpongeBob arrives at Sandy's tree dome and the squirrel is busy with their biggest science experiment to date. Fuck it. What is it? He wants to go to the moon too, but Sandy's not taking any chances after the idiot massacred hundreds of fish with her whirly-bird. She eventually gives in to his annoying begging and tells him to be ready at the crack of dawn tomorrow and leave his silly alien nonsense at home. He tries to get some shut-eye but is way too excited to fall asleep, especially now that Patrick's brought some alien repellent for the trip. New alien out window protectant. Well, I guess you're right, Patrick. We better go spray those While SpongeBob was only supposed to spray the rocket's windows, he sucks at resisting peer pressure. Now he and Patrick are inside the rocket without any supervision. Sandy would freak out if she knew this, and she'd probably cut off SpongeBob and Patrick's butts if she saw them using her control room as an arcade. Look, I'm with it! Patrick, cut that out! Come on, hang around in here? This kind of fun house? But it's kind of her fault for designing it like one. Patrick waddles around the rocket like a ticking time bomb, touching everything he can with his dumb pointy fins. Stubs? What do you call his hands anyway? SpongeBob then presses the launch button and away they go. SpongeBob. Don't put it. Boys have so much fun defying gravity that they completely forget about steering the rocket and end up making a total U-turn around the moon, landing right back where they started. They leave the rocket wearing spacesuits. I'm shocked they even knew how to put those frickers on, but they quickly realize this alien planet looks an awful lot like home. Come here, Gary. Wait, Patrick, this is all a trick? The alien's memories onto the environment. It's Patrick. We did what we thought we think and make us thoughts we think we thought? Being like 2 IQ points higher than a sack of peanuts, SpongeBob whips out his gun and captures the evil alien pretending to be Gary. The two kelp for brains then decide to go alien hunting and bring back as many live aliens as possible to make Sandy proud. Well, she's not going to be as proud as Squidward is of his clarinet career when she finds out that the nincompoops kidnapped everybody in Bikini Bottom. That disgusting octopus was a tough catch indeed. Let's capture the little phony. Get away from me! Ahoy! Papa bit late to be playing pirate, IG. Shoot! Okay, shoot me, but don't take me money. While Patrick tries to stuff all the aliens in the rocket's cargo, Sandy returns from the moon, and boy is she pissed. You denied this experiment into it. You two ought to be ashamed of your pot. See, Miss, the alien squirrel tries to tell the fools that they're still in Bikini Bottom, but they slam the cargo door shut and get ready to take on their hardest catch yet, themselves. You didn't even tell me. I didn't even. But on me. If it's got me. With the most irrefutable evidence of extraterrestrial life since 99-cent stores safely stowed away in the cargo, SpongeBob flies home ready to see the proud look on Sandy's face. But when he lands, Bikini Bottom is a lot more cheese-like than he remembers. SpongeBob, we ain't go work with you. Well, at least nobody died. Sandy had nothing to do with the alien huntings and was even a victim herself, so she can't be liable for all those kidnappings, but she can be charged with negligence for failing to properly secure her rocket and allowing it to be easily hijacked by two morons in the first place. The penalty is 60 days in jail, but if I were Sandy, I'd be more worried about hundreds of lawsuits being filed against me from the kidnapped aliens. Then there's the whirlybird situation. The show didn't give us much context, but since a whirlybird is a helicopter, SpongeBob must have crashed and killed like hundreds of fish in the process. Sandy would be liable for those deaths, so if at least like 200 fish were killed and the penalty for manslaughter is 11 years, Miss Cheeks is going to be rotting in jail for a very long 2,200 years and has got herself a hefty $2 million fine to pay as well. People always say that new SpongeBob is weird, and I couldn't agree more, because you're telling me Sandy, Karen, and Mrs. Puff are all besties now? Did they ever even interact with each other in the older seasons? Sandy's just returned to normal size after spending the last 7 days as a microscopic organism. Jean bites her gal pals out to celebrate the scientific breakthrough. I lived as a microscope all week. That's great, Sandy, but I've lived microscopic organism for 26 years. And wait, he leaves his little telescope. I roll little and then me for breaking it. Doesn't even ask if my wheel's okay. This friend group just feels so odd to me. Like Sandy and Karen, I kinda get, but Mrs. Puff, she's like decades older than them. She isn't even into science. I don't get it. Ran over. Karen and Mrs. Puff burst into tears after a stressful day dealing with SpongeBob and Plankton, and Sandy tries to lighten the mood with some harmless girls' night out pranks, starting with Karen's evil, not-so-genius husband. Crabs? Hops, please you're eating me, oh damn server. I'm leaving town and going green. Join the secret first. Plankton naively goes to accept the formula Mr. Krabs gifted him, but the Krusty Krab alarm goes off and the real Eugene Krabs arrives to give the burglar a piece of his mind. Why'd he go to sleep mid-shave? And why can I oddly relate to that? Fight breaks out in the restaurant and Sandy and her girls are in hysterics watching the fools try to kill each other. But the next victim of their prank for the night is SpongeBob. So the Gal Pals break into his house and kidnap him while he's sleeping. Cindy then shoves a virtual reality headset on him, and when he wakes up, he believes the mailman is here to deliver his driver's license. Oh, that's just cruel, man. It's like,
Oh, my driver's license.
for new vote.
Oh, my new
Whoa.
Was that dreaming?
No, it's for real. The prank was harmless at first, but SpongeBob soon ends up wheeling away and causing a bunch of catastrophic car crashes, which send the whole city up in flames.
I'm garbage. Plus, I got a license.
When the Gal Pals eventually catch him, SpongeBob being SpongeBob is super impressed by the dangerous prank he was the victim of, but Sandy could be looking at 2,656 years in jail and a $76,265,000 fine. That's 1,500 years for criminal property damage, assuming that at least 500 buildings are destroyed by her prank, 1,100 years for accidentally causing the deaths of an estimated 100 people in the citywide carnage, 40 years for kidnapping SpongeBob, 7 for reckless endangerment, 3 for breaking into the pineapple, 3 for impersonating Mr. Krabs, and 3 for smashing Plankton's window. There you have it, folks. Sandy Cheeks is serving a crazy 5,850 years and 120 days in jail with a gigantic $96,482,000 fine to pay. She'll never see the light of Texas again, but there are characters who earn even more jail time than her in one day for what these vile fiends have gotten up to.